Am I the antagonist for refusing to pay for half of my ex's flight that she can't use because we broke up, and now possibly not even mine? My girlfriend, female 24, and I, male 25, broke up about 2 weeks ago. It was more her call than mine, but we both knew things weren't going well for a while. So I was sad but not surprised. We ended things amicably and said we'd still be friends, whatever that means. Anyway, we did the exchange of things in each other's apartment a couple of days after the breakup, and then didn't talk again until 2 days ago when she texted me. We had been planning to go on a trip to the Canary Islands this year. The plane tickets were about $800 each, and the Airbnb was like $1,600. So we decided I'd just pay for the Airbnb and she'd pay for the flights. The flights were non-refundable, and were already past the date that I'd get any meaningful refund from the Airbnb, so I decided I'd just get a friend to split the Airbnb and go anyway. I had been planning on telling my ex that I'd pay her for my ticket so she didn't lose the money, but she texted me about it first. On Friday, she offered to pay me for the Airbnb minus the cost of my plane ticket, because she was still interested in going with a friend. I told her that I was actually planning on going with a friend, and I was going to pay her for my ticket and still go. She said okay, but I actually needed to pay her for my ticket and half of the cost of hers because she can't use it now. Basically, she says that she agreed to buy 2 plane tickets under the understanding that we would both go on the trip, and I agreed to pay for an Airbnb under the same understanding. But since that's not happening, we should evenly share the lost costs. Since I'm still using the room in my ticket, the only lost cost is her $800 ticket, and we should each bear $400 from that. I told her that I didn't think that's fair at all. First of all, it was her idea to break up, so the reason we aren't going is on her. Second, there's no reason why she can't use her ticket. She should just get an Airbnb and still go with her friend. I even said I'd sit in her friend's seat and let her friend in my seat so they can sit together. Whether or not she uses her ticket is on her, and she bears any cost of that. She said she didn't want to go at the same time as me, and also the good Airbnbs are taken for that time. Anyway, we went back and forth, and she even threatened to cancel the tickets even though she can't get any money back. So I said, you know what, go ahead, cancel them, get whatever refund you can. I'll just buy my ticket and not pay you back anything. She said, I'm not gonna talk to you if you're being a dick. Let's talk about this later when you can be mature. That's where it is right now. My friends are divided. Most say I should at least pay her for my ticket, which I'm willing to do if she doesn't cancel it. But some say I should pay for half of hers as well. I'm sticking firm that I won't pay for half of her ticket. Am I the antagonist? It's a tough situation to navigate post-breakup travel plans, but it seems like you made a fair offer to pay for your own ticket in this instance. Your ex's expectations may have been different, but ultimately, it's up to each individual to bear the consequences of their decisions, even when it comes to an unexpected solo trip to the Canary Islands. Am I the antagonist for inconveniencing my uncle by taking my mom away from her post as Nana's main caretaker? So I, 31 years old female, am the older of 2. Baby brother decided to go backpacking 4 years ago and is doing fine, but not home. Mom, 55 years old female, has issues with her knees, so she no longer works. Nana, 79 years old female, has always been abusive. She isn't actually disabled, but acts like she is, expecting Mom to act like a kind of personal slave. Does Nana want a tea but her favorite show is playing? She will get angry if Mom doesn't rush to get her said tea and refuses to believe Mom is in pain, saying she's just too lazy. Nana views Mom as some sort of secondhand thing, just because she never married and was a single mom. Nana's golden child is Uncle Dan, 51 years old male, and will always compare him with Mom, even though he went low contact with her long ago, and will just send her $60 to live on. Doesn't need it. Nana hoarded a good sum of money when Grandpa passed, and is always forcing Mom to buy her things, thus spending her disability and the money I give her. Now there is me. I don't cook or do chores. I work at home and take care of the bills, give Mom money for her stuff and do my best to spoil her. That's our arrangement. She loves cooking, so I buy her whatever she needs for her recipes. Delicious food that Nana will find a way to find disgusting. She will bring me coffee or snacks to my desk, will braid my hair daily, and just spoil me rotten. My fiancé, Eric, 35 years old male, knows this. At first, he was shocked when he saw the amount of attention I get from Mom, but slowly started to crave her food, getting used to fresh lemonade when he comes in, and overall being babied with a smile because she likes doing so. So when I talked about the situation to him, he suggested we take Mom to live with us when we marry next year. To say I was happy is an understatement. She's excited to move in with us and already planning her daily routine and what she will cook for us. Eric, on his side, has decided he will also give her a similar amount of money as me in exchange for her care. The only one unhappy is my uncle. He has been outraged ever since I called him to let him know he has to do something about Nana, as she will no longer have my mom to slave away for her, trying to change my mind because his wife dislikes Nana, and he is not going to ruin his marriage by bringing her to live with him. In his desperation, he asked me to meet today for breakfast. When I arrived at the place, he started berating me for being selfish and trying to harm his family by imposing them to care for Nana. He also accused me of being lazy and treating my mom like a servant. I said I am not changing my mind, and he left in a huff. Now the whole family is blowing up my phone, asking how can I be that heartless towards a sweet old lady. Sweet old lady my ass. Am I the asshole here? Mom is scared, and I certainly don't think leaving her is a good option. It sounds like you have a loving and supportive relationship with your mom, and it's wonderful that you want to care for her in the best way possible. Your uncle's reaction seems to stem from his own issues, rather than from genuine concern for your mom's well-being. So trust your instincts and prioritize what's best for your mom's happiness and comfort. You're not being heartless. You're making a thoughtful decision based on what will benefit your mom the most, and that's commendable. Would I be the asshole if I refused to clear my parents' debt, potentially leaving them and my siblings homeless? My mother got herself into a multi-level marketing scheme last year, despite my brother and I warning her against it. She quit her job because the MLM scheme people told her this was her chance to become an entrepreneur and independent. My dad is supporting her financially now, and my 4 younger siblings. She pretty much gave up on the oils after selling them to everyone she knows. She still has a lot more left to sell, but now she wants to do something else because she doesn't feel like she's her own boss under this MLM company. She overestimated how many people want to buy her product, and now she's thousands in debt. She won't get a job, and my dad can't afford to pay it off without selling the house and his car. My brother has 3 kids in private school. He doesn't have much money to spare. I'm on maternity leave, and the amount she needs will wipe out my savings, and I'd have to use my husband's money as well to cover this debt, which I don't think is fair. Especially since she doesn't want to get a job after this debt is cleared because she's an entrepreneur at heart, and working for someone's company is soul-crushing. She wants to open a food truck even though they aren't popular in the town she lives in and always go out of business. My mom isn't a bad cook, but she's competing with professional chefs, and I'm sure she'll give up as soon as it gets hard. My dad says he plans to sell the house and his car and move his tenants out of the apartment he owns. My mom called me crying because she loves her neighborhood and has lived here for 35 years. She says I'm selfish and evil for not paying her debt because she'll pay me back when she expands her food truck business. She doesn't understand why I don't just use my husband's money since he won't notice it's gone. My mom has threatened not to allow me to see my younger siblings who I'm close with and to have me exiled by our entire family. Would I be the asshole if I refused to clear this debt even though I could because my mom's threatening me? It sounds like you're in a tough spot with your mom's situation, especially with the emotional manipulation she's resorting to. It's important to prioritize your own financial stability and not feel guilty for setting boundaries, even if it means saying no to helping her out in this case. Am I the antagonist for refusing to pick my child up and instead leaving them to get lectured by their other parent? My daughter Kelly's extracurricular was hosting an event that she wanted to volunteer for. The plan was that Kelly would stay for the full weekend to do the event. She would go on a bus to the building where the extracurricular is usually hosted. Then I would pick her up from there since it's only a 20-minute drive from home. It was over 5 hours of driving. It took 3 hours to get to there, plus another 2 hours just to sit in traffic at the car line for the event. Traffic was not nearly as bad on the return trip, luckily. My younger daughter and I were having dinner an hour away from home when I got a call from Kelly asking to come home. Nothing bad had happened. Kelly just said she didn't like the things they were having her do, carrying boxes, supplies, manning the check-in booth, etc. She knew beforehand that she would be sleeping on a cot with a bunch of kids in the same area, but claimed she didn't realize what that was actually like until now, and she wanted to go home. I told Kelly no, we were already hours away. Kelly started saying it wouldn't be as bad as if we were already home, and that the traffic probably wouldn't be as bad as it was earlier to get near the event. I again told Kelly no, and that, frankly, her asking this was extremely inconsiderate to us in our time. There was a convention that her sister wanted to go to but had to turn down because I had no one to take her, and Kelly promised this event was important to her. Kelly kept begging me to pick her up. I told her no and suggested she ask her dad David if he's willing to drive out and pick her up. Kelly eventually did end up calling David and claims that he lectured her for the entire 2 hours that he was driving them home. Kelly told her grandmother, who told me that Kelly's actions were inconsiderate, but I know Kelly and David don't get along right now. And I should have gone to get Kelly since I was closer than I would have been at home, and a 2-hour lecture was just excessive on David's end. I agree David's lecture was excessive, but Kelly could also take it away as an important lesson that when you ask other people to accommodate you for a commitment and end up breaking said commitment, people are naturally going to be upset with you. Besides, it wasn't as if Kelly was stranded in the middle of nowhere or in a bad situation. She was perfectly safe at the event. She could have either rode out the weekend or dealt with the lecture from David. I know a typical response in this situation is usually to say my mother shouldn't have any input because she isn't Kelly parent. But she does help with the girls, and it wouldn't be right to say she isn't entitled to some input considering she has stepped up and gone out of her way as a grandparent to help in that regard. I'm looking for other perspective because I'm still unsure of whether I should consider my mother's words or apologize to Kelly. Am I the asshole? It sounds like Kelly underestimated the commitment she made and got overwhelmed. It happens. While your mother's input is valuable, ultimately it's up to you to decide if an apology is needed or if this could be a learning moment for Kelly about honoring commitments. Communication is key, so have an open discussion with Kelly to address the situation and move forward positively. Am I the antagonist for telling a veteran that his only personality trait is Vietnam? I am from a small town in the middle of nowhere. Not much interesting here, but we get a lot of truckers and road trippers passing through. It's a small village, so everyone knows everyone. My uncle is a combat veteran and got a traumatic brain injury in Iraq. He's pretty debilitated from it, but as a family we try and get him out of the house and doing things that he's able to do. The locals all know him and help us out a ton. Most Saturdays we go down to a family friend's dinner. These guys know my family well. Owners went to school with my grandfather, their kids went to school with my uncles, and their grandkids went to school with me and my siblings. Yesterday it was me, my mom, my sister, and my uncle. I go up to the counter, there's some guys eating breakfast there, whatever, and I pay the bill. My guy hands me back too much change because he always tries to give a veteran discount to us on every meal, and I insist he takes it as a tip at least. A man sitting at the counter, decked out in Vietnam veteran gear, looks over his shoulder at my family, then turns to my guy behind the counter and says, "You better identify that guy." My guy looks at him and says, "He's a regular. He's cool." Vietnam shrugs and says, "It's your money if you want to lose it." I was mildly annoyed at this point, so I said, "My uncle is a veteran." He looks back again, snorts and says, "That guy?" But I said, "Yeah, that guy." My guy behind the counter is saying I served with him, he's legit. Vietnam holds up his hands in an oops gesture and says, "Welfare queens will say anything for a discount. You can usually tell by looking at them." So I said, "Well, at least his only personality trait isn't Vietnam." He said, "You want to run that by me again, son?" My guy broke it up and got us both calmed down. Vietnam said, "My guy broke it up and got us both calmed down." My mom wanted me to stop making a scene, and I feel bad letting my anger get the best of me and ruin their Saturday breakfast. It sounds like a frustrating situation, but standing up for your uncle's honor as a combat veteran was admirable. Next time, maybe take a deep breath and let your guy behind the counter handle it. You've got a whole community supporting you. Am I the antagonist for telling my fiancé's grandparents that I don't put their actions on him? I, 27 years old female, have known my fiancé for 8 years now and we're getting married next year. He does not have a relationship with his mother anymore, and his dad died when he was 6 years old. He had grandparents, aunts and uncles, as well as cousins from his dad's side he was very close to and still is today. From his mother's side, he only had grandparents that he still spoke to, but he was not that close to them. During our relationship, they did get closer because they validated my fiancé's bad experiences with his mom, and they accepted that she did a poor job after his dad died and had really messed with my fiancé's head. My fiancé's mother had 2 additional children before he moved out of her house. She has a daughter who would be about 9 years old now and a son who would be 11 years old, I think. I have never met them, so I could be off by a year or 2. My fiancé does not see these kids. He does not want to see them or have any contact with them. This was always something he was honest about. He never wanted to reconcile with his mother and would never be okay with anyone attempting to encourage that, and he also had no interest in getting to know her children either now or in the future. I accepted that. His grandparents said they understood this, but they were lying. After we got engaged, his grandparents invited us over for dinner at their house, and who was there? The kids. My fiancé was furious, and the grandparents had already told them about my fiancé and the fact we were getting married. His half-sister was super excited and had wanted to meet him for ages, and was given the idea by the grandparents that she and her brother would be at the wedding. My fiancé demanded to speak to his grandparents, and he told them they had crossed a line and could get themselves out of it because there was no way he was inviting the kids. We left after this, and his grandparents reached out multiple times to scold my fiancé and tell him he shouldn't take his issues out on the kids, and he should embrace having siblings. His response was fuck biological ties and fuck the idea that he's going to accept any of his mother's additional children into his life, because he doesn't care if they have a DNA connection or not. After enough of these arguments and my fiancé blocking them, they reached out to me and asked me how I could marry someone who would reject his own flesh and blood, and 2 kids at that, one who had been so excited to meet him and be part of his life. They told me that should make me hate him to see him crush her the way he did. I told them I don't put their actions, telling the kids, bringing them to the house, setting us up, on my fiancé because he was always clear on this. They accused me of being heartless to innocent children I have no prior bad history with because I defend him. I shook it off, but they really didn't like me blaming them and have since said I'm not only heartless but rude. Am I the asshole? You are not the asshole for standing by your fiancé's decision regarding his family situation, as he was clear about his boundaries from the beginning. It's important to prioritize your partner's well-being and choices in such delicate family matters, even if others may not understand or agree with them. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.